So today I realized that I am still facing triggers from my childhood experiences. And I don't always really dive into what my childhood experiences are because a lot of them I've blocked out. When it's something that's painful, you kind of just block it out and go on and you move on with your life. So I know that I've blocked a lot of things out. However, although I blocked those things out, the triggers for them are still prevalent, meaning that I will react to things today, not really understanding why I reacted the way I reacted because of something that happened in my childhood that I've blocked out. And that's why I say it's always important to heal. But I felt like I was being manipulated. I really felt like I was being treated like secondhand, second fiddle, not a priority. And in this conversation, I just got really silent and real strategic and real in my feelings because of what the person was saying. I'm not going to go into the conversation, but it just made me feel not important. And it brought up a trigger that caused me to say, you know what? Fuck you. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm not going to deal with you anymore. I don't want to see you on my social media. I don't want to see your number on my phone. I don't want to see your name pop up. I don't want anything to do with you. And then I sat and thought about it like, Roxanne, why are you having such a big reaction to a conversation that's so small? Why didn't you have what it took to just say, hey, I don't like this. This isn't going to work. No, you had to block. You had to do all of that. And I don't care that I blocked. I did that for me. But I wanted to really internalize why I felt the need to block, why it was such a trigger, why it was such an emotional pull on me. So in order to do that, I had to go back into times where I had also felt manipulated, or I had felt like I was second, or I had felt like I was not valuable or important. And what it brought to me was a series of events that stacked up like freaking dominoes that fell over, from my childhood. And I don't speak about them because I love the people in my life and I would never really want to talk bad on anybody. But there are a series of things that have happened, from my mom passing away, and not just her passing away, the way she passed away. And I'll get more into that later, my sister and I were really, really close and we lived together for our whole lives. And then her moving away, and I was still where I was and she was gone. And then my dad moving out of town and not taking me with him, or not, telling me that he was leaving. And all of that kind of happened like, and from those situations, I started to feel like I wasn't important. And I started to feel like I was always second, like nobody considered my needs first. And I'm not saying that, I'll say this for sure. My grandmother was always there for me, always considered my needs and always had my back. So I appreciate her for that. But the dominoes were still stacked. You have a sister or a relative that you're with every day, and then all of a sudden you're not with them at all. Your dad, you go to his house and one day he's gone and you don't see him for years. And your mom, it's your mom, and she's dead. And it's all from the ages of 8 to 14. So I'm not going to get into all the details of the traumatic experiences because I'll be here crying and I don't want to be here crying. But all of that happened. And a lot of those things I blocked out. I forgot about it. I didn't think about it. And it took a friend of mine and me to be having this conversation to really realize that big response to a simple conversation was from a series of traumatic events. And what I realized from that series of traumatic events is that I'm used to being second. And I'm tired of being or feeling like I'm second or unimportant or unvaluable. So when I had this conversation that was going in a direction that triggered emotions that made me feel like I was not worthy, I snapped and had a knee-jerk reaction to the situation. And I say all of this to say, because it's like, what's the point? you have to really deal with the experiences and the trauma in your life. Because what I realized, and even in that, I chose mates that put me second. The people that I would place in my life were people who only had room for me after other things. And I'm not talking about other women, which sometimes it is other women, but I'm talking about really that their priority was obviously should be God and then them, but then it was whatever else and then me. And I found that I was okay with that. I was willing to deal with those things because that was all I knew. It was all I understood. And it was the only type of love that I was familiar with. And it hurt to have to relive some of those events. But I realized that in breaking the mode, the reactions that I have to certain things are reactions that say, hey, I am fighting not to feel second or not to feel unworthy or unloved or unvaluable. And I had all these experiences at this crucial point in my life. 8 to 14 is a crucial stage for your development in life. And even before that, like we can go before that, I moved in with my grandmother when I was 4 years old because of things. So imagine being ripped away, going to foster care, then moving in with your grandmother, then your sister moves out at 8, your dad leaves at 10 or 12, and your mom passes away at 14. And I hold it together well because my presentation says, bitch, you got this. Because I've learned how to fight through it. I learned how to fight through it, but I never really gave myself an opportunity to deal with it. So I would do things and out here being grown and, pretending like things weren't bothering me. And then I would react. And people are like, what's wrong with you? And it's like, that's just how I reacted. F you, I don't care how you feel. And then I would have the other side of it where it was like, I would just take table scraps of things that I knew I didn't deserve, or I felt I didn't deserve, but I felt like that was the only type of love that I was worth and the only type of love that I was going to get because it was the only type of love that I received. And I say all of this to say, one, I needed to express myself, so thank you for listening. And two, because childhood trauma really plays a huge impact in your adult life. And if you ever want to escape this repetitive cycle, this rat race that we're in, and you want to be better for yourself, not only do you have to fight through it, but you also have to heal. And the only way you can heal is to go back and figure out what caused those traumatic experiences. See, the way I handled myself in this conversation that I had that I didn't like is not the way I would have handled myself if I had already known and not blacked out those memories. I would have known, hey, this is you feeling this type of way. That person could have been manipulating me, lying or anything like that, but I would have been more hip to what was going on and not so and hip to understanding and not so much in a rush to just be like, oh, you got to go, I'm cutting you out. Because when you go through these type of childhood traumas, and trust me, I have severe abandonment issues. I can do a TED talk on abandonment issues. We're going to do that one day too. I have really bad abandonment issues. And what I've learned about myself is that I am the person who's going to try to leave you before you can leave me. And I need a continual need of reassurance. So if you're not reassuring me constantly, it gets really bad. And that's part of the reason, I stay alone, because I haven't developed enough in myself to be okay when I'm not okay, if that makes sense. So we all have to heal. We are all on a journey here, and we cannot look at ourselves like we haven't done anything wrong. We have. We are a part of our own problem, and sometimes we become a part of other people's problems. So if you ever want to reach your ultimate fulfillment in life and really reach your destiny, you really have to take a hard look at yourself, because that's what I'm in the process of, is just taking hard looks at myself and not blaming anybody, but really focusing on bettering myself.
Roxanne. Roxanne.
It's a show.
Roxanne. Roxanne, Roxanne, Roxanne.
Welcome to the show.
Roxanne.
With who?
Roxanne.
With who?
Roxanne. Roxanne, Roxanne, Roxanne.